You can't have a democracy unless people are well educated.
Local school boards are absolutely essential to the concept of public education.
Our future depends on the education of our children.
Brown versus Board of Education was an incredibly significant decision, both for African American students, but also for how this country viewed itself.
We do believe that this decision in itself will encourage the people to take further steps without litigation in many areas.
I think it was an important first step for us as a nation in trying to bring equality and equity across the board to all children.
It really stood for the proposition that every child's entitled to a great education. And for us as a national organization, I think that continues to inspire and guide our work.
A big wake-up call for public education because all of a sudden we were riding along thinking everything was great, we were the top of the world, and boom, all of a sudden we see Russia far ahead of us put a space capsule up, and we're sitting here saying, what happened?
At that time, we responded with education. It's a time as a nation that we increase in math and science to keep pace with the rest of the world.
I'm not sure that people give President Lyndon Baines Johnson the credit he deserves for the work he did in civil rights.
It made people feel like they were citizens of a great nation.
He pushed key legislation through to more aggressively ensure that our schools would be both desegregated as well as financed. Busing became an issue, and certainly became an issue in many local school districts about whether it made sense to bus children from one school to another in order to provide equal opportunity.
In some communities it worked well, in others it did not.
But it appeared that one race was bused more than another race of people.
Title IX made us look a little bit more in our policies as board members, what we're doing to make sure you have football, but yet still what are you doing for volleyball? What are you doing for softball if you're doing it for baseball? What are you doing a great field house for football? Well, what is your field house status for female sports?
PE is now co-ed, meaning that you will have girls in your class. Okay? You think you can handle that?
I believe NSBA understood the importance of everyone having a voice.
Thanks to the Telecommunications Act, the E-rate program that it created, today virtually all classrooms are connected to the internet. And of course the program's been expanded, funding's been increased, and I'm really proud of the fact that NSBA's played a key role in helping to make sure that happens. Columbine was obviously a very sad chapter in the history of public education. And I think probably the most important outcome of it really was that it made everybody much more conscious about school safety. We want to believe, and I do believe, that public schools are the safest place that most young people will be during the course of the day.
I believe that No Child Left Behind started with a great intent. It's always the details that create a lot of problems. I believe that there's a lot of extra testing.
The federal government said we're going to establish an accountability framework that the states had to adhere to.
We've argued for exemptions, we've argued for flexibility, we've argued for giving school districts, administrators, and school board members the latitude to make sense of what is a somewhat flawed bill.
We don't want to simply teach to the test. We want to teach joy of learning.
Every child should be given an equal opportunity to learn.
I remind everybody that Common Core is simply a set of standards that we want kids to know and understand.
The concept of having states freely buy in or buy out of standards is something that we support.
This world is changing, and it's changing at a rapid pace, and technology is at the heart of those changes.
The most important thing to remember about technology in the classroom is that it's simply a tool. It's like us getting all excited about new pencils that are being introduced.
We have to be aware the kids coming up in our schools are so much more in tune with technology and social media.
Children can get in trouble. They can bully using social media.
If it's used correctly, social media can be a wonderful teaching tool.
Things are changing. The face of America is changing. They've called this country the melting pot.
You know, our nation and our legislative leaders are focused on immigration. Big hot topic today. All they would need to do is look into their schools and see what's happening in our classrooms.
I think the greatest thing to remember is that if it's going to be, it's up to me. That every single one of us has an obligation, not just as a board member, but as a citizen, to help educate the entire youth that we have coming up. It's important to remember that one person can make a difference and often does make a difference.
The Stand Up for Public Schools campaign of the National School Boards Association really is designed to bring that collective voice to the national level of the importance of public education and the importance of local school governance.
It is so important to have a national voice because we're speaking for those that don't have a voice necessarily on Capitol Hill. And when I say that, I'm talking about the 50 million children in our public classrooms all across this country. America, schools are not going anywhere.
We must beat back these very simple-minded voices who want to critique public schools and public school education.
The public schools in this country are absolutely necessary. The people of this country know that that's the case.
If we in public education strive to deliver the best product, and when I say best product, I'm not talking about kids, but the best educational experience to these young people possible, then no one will be able to stand against this.
The National School Boards Association, as well as your state associations, have to be leading that charge, leading that discussion, and projecting and being visionary. And I think NSBA, as well as the state associations, are doing a great job of that.
Our future depends on the education of our children, and NSBA understands that.
The founders of the Republic made a key point of this, Jefferson and others. You can't have a democracy unless people are well educated.
So I truly believe that each child deserves the opportunity to be successful.
Local school boards are absolutely essential to the concept of public education.
The visibility that NSBA, I'm very proud to say, has had is often when we've dared to amaze, we've dared to be different.
The NSBA has to continue to arm our individuals at the local level and to the state level with the information we need to make those contacts, to strengthen that voice at the national level of NSBA.
We know that it's vitally important that the state school boards associations have a Washington office.
The new NSBA is here.
We have taken on a stronger, more aggressive role in advocating for public education and school board governance.
We must work together for our country, for our communities, for our public schools, and most importantly for our children.
Congratulations to NSBA on your 75th annual conference. Many board members are volunteers, many of whom dedicate their own time to improve the conditions of schools across our country.
I am excited that NSBA has been here for 75 years, and I believe the next 75 years will be greater.
The tribute I would give to them is they have made education a conversation and the conversation in America, and I think they will continue to do that.
So I want to congratulate NSBA on their anniversary, and I look forward to working with you in the future.
NSBA, thanks for being a leader in public education. We salute you for 75 years of anniversary. Stay strong, and remember, stand up for public schools.
To every single school board member, thank you for what you do. Thank you for what you're going to do. And NSBA and your state association is there to help you.
Congratulations, NSBA, 75 years, that's fabulous. You know, we started because a group of people got together and said we need a national voice, and now we are 75 years later.
A special thank you to school board members across America for their service and commitment to the students in their community.
Well, I'd like to wish the National School Boards Association a very happy 75th anniversary. Quite an accomplishment to not only be around for 75 years, to be getting stronger and more impactful than ever. So here's to another 75 and more.